This is going to be potentially the biggest show I've ever played, so I'm really excited. Yeah.
So you just played at Reggie's last night also.
Yeah.
A little after party or pre-party, I guess.
Yeah.
But maybe tell us about that show a little bit, how it compares to your set today, and thinking about the last time you were in Chicago, how has your career grown?
I would describe, a couple different questions there. One, the Reggie show, it was I describe it as almost like a boutique experience. Like it was, Reggie's is, not a huge room. But Hollister, who I'm partnered with, decorated it to the nines and just made it so cool. And so it was really enjoyable. It was just under 400 people, so it was more intimate than some of the stuff that I'm doing now. But the last time I played in Chicago before that was at Shuba's Tavern, which I think is about 250 or 300.
Intimate venue.
And it's beautiful. The wooden everything. It's really cool. But things are just growing. They're growing fast, and luckily I have a really good support system. And so going from playing Shuba's Tavern to playing this main stage at Lollapalooza, the crowds are changing, but my inner circle isn't. And it's full of family and people that care about who I am and me as a person, not just an artist.
Yeah. How important is it for you to have that support system? You've had such rapid growth in your career, so along with that support system, what are some strategies that you use to stay grounded and focus in your career?
When I can, I try to disconnect from music.
Yeah.
I try to, whether it's hiking or video games or, visiting my family in Oregon or I try to do things that kind of remind me that I'm not just music,
Okay.
As much as I absolutely
it's your whole
love
life,
the career. Yeah, it is. And then once your passion becomes your life, you have to find other passions.
Definitely.
Otherwise you're going to burn out and you're going to just, fizzle out and suffer.
Sure.
It's not a good thing. So I would say the support system is potentially the number one most important thing for me, because without it, I would definitely have lost myself.
Sure.
I feel like this career is so consuming if you let it be. And so, the support system is everything.
Yeah. You're originally from Bend, Oregon, right? And you're based in Nashville now. So how do you think your personal background is reflected in your music? How does it present itself?
I take any chance I get to reference Oregon, my home in the Northwest, Washington, even some California references, and I just try to write about things that are real to me. And when I write about, and when I'm writing about things that are real to me, it's expected that those things are gonna be part of my home. So, St. Helens Alpenglow is Mount St. Helens. I reference Manzanito, which is one of my favorite beaches in Oregon, Catalina Coastline in my Forever Ain't Long Enough song. And so I think that's something that is really valuable to me and separates me from a lot of the folk country-ish genre that's going on right now. There's a lot of, Oklahomans and Texans and these different artists that are, born and raised country, and I'm kind of this, Oregon suburban kid that was raised on country music, and so it's kind of a mesh, and it makes me, in my opinion, it makes me stand out a little bit, and I kind of try to lean into it. So when I am writing my songs, I think, what's something that's really from my past that I could reference here to just make it as authentic as possible. So that's where you hear a lot of my hometown and a lot of my upbringing in my music.
Definitely. You mentioned that you're in a lane of your own, and I would totally agree with that. You have the recent collaboration with Cameron Whitcomb, who is also kind of doing his own thing.
I love Cam.
Yeah, he's awesome. But I'm sure he inspires you in many ways. But who are some of your biggest influences and inspirations in the music scene? Yeah,
so there's different aspects of my career that are inspired by different people. Lyrically, I think Noah Kahan is one of the greatest writers of our time.
Yeah, he's special.
I take a lot of inspiration from him and the way he writes his songs. It seems like he's never afraid to write something weird, but it always works. Yeah. I always reference this line. It's in the beginning of Growing Sideways, I believe is the song, and he starts out the song, the first line is, so I took my medication and I poured my trauma out on some sad-eyed middle-aged man's overpriced new leather couch, which is just insane. Nobody writes that, but it's so creative and it sets him apart, and so I take a lot of inspiration from that. And then as far as just, writing poetry over simple chords, Zach Bryan and Tyler Childers, huge inspirations
Definitely.
for me. They just, you can tell they're just putting music to poetry, and that's what I try to do.
For sure. You just had your deluxe album, Night Driving, come out 2 weeks ago. After the debut, Wandering, that's a follow-up album. So what do you think about what makes Night Driving special, and what differentiates it from your first album? And what excites you most about the deluxe version also?
Night Diving is... The initial version of Night Diving was kind of a placeholder.
Okay.
I had a lot of those songs written. A lot of the second deluxe version songs were actually written before some of the first album songs. So although it technically is a deluxe, and you're correct in calling it that, it has always been kind of one album to me. And how it differs from Wandering is it's just a further progression into who I am and who I want to be as an artist. So Wandering, I was kind of figuring myself out, and I named it Wandering because of that. It was like I didn't know where I was walking, but I was just entering the music career head first and just kind of writing songs, a bunch of songs constantly. And so I didn't know where I was gonna land. And like you said, I'm kind of in a lane of my own now. And at the beginning, I think I was kind of leaning into some of the more country influences. If you listen to Wandering, there's a lot more of that country dynamic. But as I got into that Noah Kahan influence, Night Diving, The Cost of Growing Up, that album is more of that folk country to folk pop space. And so I'm just kind of, trying to evolve with the more I figure out about myself and the more I learn about what feels right to me, the closer I'm going to get to being my authentic self, which is always the goal.
For sure. You briefly mentioned Southern California, so you were busking on the pier out there just a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So maybe just briefly take us through your story. I'm sure you get that question all the time.
No, you're good.
But what's it like to perform in a festival like this today, right?
Man, yeah, it's a story that I've definitely told a lot, but so I hope I don't repeat myself word for word. But I moved to Southern California. Things in Oregon were just not feeling right. I didn't feel like I was who I wanted to be, and I was hitting a capacity that I felt like I couldn't handle much more, and I had to change something. So I moved to Southern California. Didn't plan on playing guitar at all or singing, but my dad gave me his old guitar on the way out.
Wow.
And he just said, people like somebody who can strum. You should learn a few chords.
Damn.
And so I was like, okay, I'll try. And so I taught myself a few chords. Before that, I already knew, how to strum a G chord, and I didn't really know transitions. And I wrote a few pieces of poetry over some strings that made certain sounds that I liked. I didn't know how to play at all, but I played that poetry. I call it poetry because calling it a song is probably not accurate. It's just a few lines of a chorus,
But it's got that emotion, right?
Yes, exactly. And that's what Zach Bryan and Tyler Childers did, and so that's why they were super inspiring to me. But I showed it to a friend of mine. His name was Jordan. And I showed it to him, and he was super encouraging. He just told me, this is, good enough. I think that you could actually do something with this career in music. And my self-esteem was in the gutter. I had no self-esteem. I had no courage to try to do it. But he said, if not for you, do it for me. Go down to the pier and just sing for people. And at the best case scenario, nobody cares. And at the worst case scenario, nobody cares. And that's the mindset you should go in with.
I love that.
And so that was enough to get me to do it, because I wasn't putting so much pressure on it. It was just like, you know what? Yeah. I don't sound like a dying animal.
Why not,
I
right?
knew that, and so I went down and I just played for people. And street performing to this day is some of the hardest performance that I've ever accomplished. It's, playing here, I'm really excited, and I have my full band, and there's a lot of security in that on stage. And when you're playing with a full band, it's much easier to kind of just view each crowd it doesn't matter if there's 50 or 100 or 80,000 in the crowd. It's your job is the same, and you have your friends that you love and care about, and you guys are all just having a good time on stage. And
they believe in you, and they believe in your vision.
Yeah.
That's important.
And I believe in them, and I trust them, and they have a job to do, and I have a job to do, and and we have a service to provide to the fans. So honestly, it's not too much more difficult, if even more difficult at all, than street performing.
Interesting.
You're going by yourself, and just singing for people that might not even want to hear you, and definitely don't know who you are. It's
a tough
really
crowd.
Scary. Yeah, it's like the toughest crowd, man. Yeah.
So is that when you wrote Love Me Back, or a lot more free? My next question was kind of just reflecting on the emotional weight of those songs. How important is it for you to have that emotional impact in your music?
I think those songs were kind of the entry into treating writing sessions like therapy sessions, like digging in. And that's why I named the album initially Night Diving, and Night Diving the Cost of Growing Up. Night Diving represents digging into the darker parts that are more difficult to approach, and you learn things about yourself. I had an experience that I actually went night diving in the Bahamas, and it was just me and 2 other people underwater, pitch dark, the deepest darkness you've ever felt in your life, and you just have these flashlights, and you're just looking around. And when we did that, I went on 6 daytime dives, and I did 1 night dive, and I saw things. I saw squids and lobsters that are the size of my entire arm, and just creatures that you never see. And so that was the metaphor that inspired the album. It's like you need to dig into the darker parts of yourself to learn things about yourself. And so that's what A Lot More Free is. That's what Freezing in November is. That's what It's Not Your Fault, Night Diving, The Cost of Growing Up. All of that is just me learning in a writing room to approach the things that I might not be comfortable approaching. And that takes finding a producer that cares about you, finding writers that know who you are, that you're comfortable, vomiting, the deepest parts of you out, it's not comfortable, but it makes those songs, and those songs have changed my life. So.
That's like genuine creative work right there, when it's from the deepest parts of you, That's you could tell when it's from someone's heart, for sure. And I feel that in your music. I'm a big fan.
Thank you, I really appreciate it.
I'll end it here. Looking towards the future, like what are some more goals that you have for yourself, both long-term and short-term, and like what do you hope to deliver to your fans in your career?
So I always use this analogy. I might overuse this analogy, but my life is very much lived day by day. So it's, every day I consider it like a step on a staircase. And I've been doing it for over 2 years now. And so when I look back, it's like, goodness, I've climbed over 700 steps. And to the public eye, especially newer fans, they might think, oh my gosh, he just jumped 700 feet in the air, But really, I've just taken one step at a time every single day. And I don't have any super grand goals. I mean, I have like dream venues like Red Rocks or the Columbia Gorge Amphitheater in Oregon that I really want to play at eventually. But those are kind of the superficial goals. The reality is I'm just going to keep on trying to improve and grow every single day. And shows like this, I mean, that's going to gain a lot of fans, and I'm playing in front of a lot of faces that probably have never heard or seen me before in their lives. And so the number one goal is just to get better every single day.